Well, my friend Vin just pulled up, my bro. It is the, I think it's the 8th. I'm going to have to pip in the time. It's about 10 after 10. So I'm going to walk over and we'll meet. How you doing, my brother? Man, I'm so glad to meet you.
Yeah, awesome, man.
I hug my
Good to see
meet you.
Yeah.
You are one of the most interesting men I've ever seen on YouTube.
Yeah,
You know,
I appreciate that.
you. When I talk about personality-driven channels, we all are, but I like yours.
Thank you so much.
You
man.
have a different. I don't want to see my delivery. I want to see somebody else's.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Let me get my tools out.
Well, let's look at what I want first.
All right.
As I was sitting here with my bro Vin, he did some surgery on the coach here. He swapped that one with that one, so now the little latch works. This one I kind of tweaked a little more, wrestling and fighting it, but it's secure enough for now. So I gotta say, hold on, there you go. I gotta say 10-10 to Vin for this. He's relieved an incredible amount of stress in my life. And now we're going to go have a nice day and some fellowship. And he's got a place for us to eat after we take the tour of the Cucamonga station in Rancho Cucamonga, California. So we'll see what's next. Now we're at the historic Cucamonga service station. Established in 1915. Vin is a docent here, and he's going to walk me through it. But this gal walked up to us, and I'm going to stand back, and said, "Do we have a jump?" And Vin and I both thought she said, "Do you have a job?" And so Vin has a jumper box. I have one in the locomotive actually. Make sure I don't get hit with the in the driveway here. So, God love Vin. He's going to jump the scale, and they're going to get to it. So there you go, and we'll see what's next. Well, I'm hoping I don't get the copyright issue, but I don't know why everybody has to play music in the background. But I worked with a guy, White Trash, who had one of these. I think he had the bigger motor. I'm going to have to look up. I think he had a 454, but don't hold me to that. Anyway, he said he got 8 miles a gallon, so it probably did, but by God, when he fired that big beast up, it sounded like heaven, same color, roughly the same generation. God, what a great car to have. Well, our first stop of the day, our first stop of 2 is here at the Cucamonga station. This is Vin from Adventure Vin. I want to point out here that Vin, I have it here, hold on now. Vin, hold on. Okay, help me here, please.
There you go.
Vin, God love him, gave me a Polynesian fish hook, which he also has, and it is a sign of it's a symbol of strength. And of all the times I need strength, it's now. So, thank you, my brother. You're a good man, and we couldn't get the he couldn't get the gal's car going. It sounds like it's an alternator issue, but we're going to go inside now. And I'm going to just let Vin talk. Here's the front of the station. I was here 2 Decembers ago. I'll see if I don't insert some bonus footage in here somewhere. But we're going to walk in now, and Vin is going to be our host. Our next stop of the day finds us at the historic Route 66 Cucamonga service station that is now a museum. It's closed today. It was built in 1915. The station closed in 1972. There's a couple of markers here. It has since been restored. The Historical Preservation Association of Rancho Cucamonga asked the city council here in Rancho to declare it a historic landmark in 2009. This was on the National Old Trails Highway and on Route 66 when the Mother Road was numbered in 1926. As I pan around here, I'm going to link to both either or both Steve from Sidetrack Adventures and Vin from Adventure Vin, who have both been here. This is a pretty well-known spot for Mother Road fans to come to. There's really, if they're closed, there's no parking, so I had to park down the block. I'm going to pip in here a couple of pictures from back in the day of when the station was active and there was hardly anything else out here. So this is why we're here.
So we're here back at the Rancho Cucamonga station. Now, one thing I like to point out, first of all, we have a lot of visitors, international, national, even local, that sometimes this would be like their second or third visit. And Joe's a good example of that they come here when the station, unfortunately, we're not open to visitors. I still encourage you, along your route, if your calendar falls but we're not here, still take some time, take some pictures on the outside. But our operating days are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, between the 8 hours of 10 and 4 p.m. So kind of jot that down if you want to visit us. But to the history of the station. The station was originally opened in 1915, which predates Route 66 out right in front of us by 11 years. Route 66 doesn't come into being until 1926. On that note, what we're in now would have been what the station would have looked like around the mid-1920s. I say that because when it opened up in 1915, the first owner or proprietor, it was just known as the Cucamonga service station. It wasn't until the mid-20s when Richfield becomes the exclusive oil of sale. So if you look on the outside and the inside, it has the paint scheme of what Richfield oil would have had. We also have a Richfield banner or kiosk that's on the roof, which was original for the time. So it probably changed hands maybe by 3 owners. By the time the third owner passes away, it was 1968, 1970 time frame. And at that point, ARCO was actually buying out Atlantic Oil and Richfield for the acronym ARCO, ARCO. So that's where we get ARCO from. This station was never absorbed by ARCO, but it went into a dormant state from about 1970 to the early 2000s. Around that time frame, in the early 2000s, a advertisement agency called Lamar bought the property. Now at that time, this place was boarded up. It was an eyesore. Nobody here, people drove past it all the time. The first time I saw it, it was a boarded up white building. I didn't even know what it was. It comes to a point around 2010 when Lamar Advertising wants to either tear down the building or remodify it to store some equipment. At that point, the city of Rancho Cucamonga deemed it historic. So it was no value to Lamar anymore at that point. So because it was no value, this organization here, which is a nonprofit known as the Inland Empire of California, they stepped in and offered to refurbish the station. This is around 2010 timeframe when the negotiation started. The city then referred them to Lamar. Through negotiations and legal documents and coordination, Lamar ended up deeding the entire property, including the building, to the nonprofit. And they left a small footprint so they could still run their billboard advertising. So in a good way, that Lamar didn't need to use the property right away, it was preserved. Now around about 2013, the year 2013, we started doing the modification, and I'll have Joe look at the board at the end of this. You can see the progress of it. I was not involved. I'm a volunteer here now, but I was not involved with the refurbishment of the station. But everything that you see now is all done by volunteer time, money, resources, community involvement. It got from 0 to what we have now in a matter of under a year. And it reopens to the public as a museum 100 years later from its opening as a business. So 1915 it opens up as a business, 2015 it opens up as a museum that we see today. Around the third owner, around the 1930s, 1940s, a second person came in and built a garage in the back. So we're in the service station where you would get your gas, fuel, oil, come in, go, get a cold drink, and you're back on the road. Behind it, it was a 2-bay garage, 2 or 3-bay garage. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough left of that to restore, but that's our hopes right now. That's why, aside from the donations and anything else that we do to keep the current maintenance of the lights on, is for that. But anything additional that we do is to go back and rebuild that garage so we have it in total configuration of what it would look like in the mid-20s. There's plenty of history and pictures that we can show you in just a moment, but before we move around the station a little bit more, I was going to ask Joe if you had any questions or anything I might have missed.
No, we're good to go.
All right, I'll show you some of the picture.
Yes, let's move on.
So when the station opened up in 1915, it looks similar to what you see here, less the garage. It was just the structure, which is the structure we're in today. He had a maximum of 2 islands, 6 pumps. Because the Route 66 widened in time, they lost some property to eminent domain, and they lost the depth of the third pumps. This is the same color in picture. This is the San Bernardino Mountains in front of you. This is the garage that no longer stands. This is what it kind of looked like the first time I saw it before it went into refurbishment. Now, this is some of the guys that are working on it, doing the roof. Now, one thing I like to note to people is that once the city deemed it historic, it went into county, state, and national historic. So this is actually on the National Registry, the same as the Statue of Liberty as far as historic places go. And there's a really cool demorama here, Joe, that I'll take the plexiglass off so we don't get a glare.
I'm making a mess here.
So this is a demorama of what it once would have looked like from like the 1930s to 1970s. They were independently owned to the third owner, and then it was all owned together. This is what we are raising funds for now, is to restore this with modern material and technology, but have the aesthetics and look and architecture of what it would have matched back then. This will not be deemed historic like this structure is on the National Registry. So Disneyland Park opens up, I believe, I want to say July 17th of 1955. A lot of the rides will have to be sponsored. Walt Disney's brother Roy did a really good job on marketing and funding for the park. So when you go to Disneyland today, there will be the Autopia. On opening day, there were 2. There was the midget Autopia for little kids, and there was the regular one. Now only one exists, but what I wanted to point out was that Richfield was the company that first sponsored the Autopia at Disneyland on opening day. How many years they sponsored it, I don't know. I think today, I want to say it's Chevron. I can't be for certain. And there's talk out there that they're actually going to move from gasoline engine vehicles to electric. I think they're going to go electric and eventually, and who knows, maybe Tesla will be the sponsor at that point. But if you look to my right, I wanted to point out this is something what the attendants would have had at the time. A lot of us, when I say us, I'm saying anyone that's like 50 or older, remember the station attendants having these coin changers?
Our vintage, I call it. Our vintage.
This is our vintage, but this is what the station attendant would have looked like if you were pulling up. And I don't know if you heard in the background the ding ding of the station cord, but that was something that would notify if you ever watched Back to the Future, where he goes back to 1955, and in the Texaco station, the car drives over the signal cord. All the attendants run out to fuel it or to service the vehicle. So these are some other. This is just a small example of the historic memorabilia that we have for the station. There is much more that we want to put on display. We have it stored off location. We have a car that's donated. But once we get that back garage redone, then all that will be the main part of the museum and a recreation of what the station and the garage would have looked like. And this will mainly just be the visitor center and the gift shop area. So there's a lot of historic things here, but this is just a small sampling of what we have. If you do visit our station and you have some time to put to it, we have a lot of books with pictures that will show the evolution of the station on what it looked like historically. It even shows some of the evolution of the surrounding areas. I think this is one of the first owners. And then we put gravity pumps outside. When Joe started the video, you saw those tall gravity pumps. Those are actually reproductions. We do have original ones that are in storage, and the original ones are going to be put in the museum once the garage is finished. So with that, I think I covered just about all the major parts of the station. You know when we're in operation, when to come visit us. I will say this, in 1915 there weren't a lot of cars on the road, and you're probably scratching your head, and I don't blame you. There weren't a lot of automobiles, so how does a place like this survive? In 1915, his main customer was the agricultural industry of the area. There were grape vineyards and orange groves, and sometimes they would come in and just buy their fuel in 50-gallon drums. Other times, he would deliver them like the milkman. As it moved into the mid-1920s, Route 66 comes into being, highway traffic is more prevalent, more gas stations start popping up. One of the demises for this gas station in the 70s was it just didn't have the location or the volume to take care of so many different vehicles. At that point, you had Chevron, Texaco, Mobil. They're all opening up all to the left and right. They just couldn't compete. So fortunately, we're able to have the oldest historic station on Route 66. That's 100% voluntary, 100% historically correct to the national level, same as the Statue of Liberty, and it's the oldest operational. We don't pump gas, but it's the oldest station on Route 66 to have all those things of notoriety. So we're in the EZ Guide. If you follow the EZ Guide, it's you can find it on Amazon. It's just simply called EZ Route 66 Guide. It sells out all the time.
Jerry McClanahan
Thank you.
is the author.
Yes. Yeah, and maybe I'm not as good on YouTube as technically inclined as Joe, but maybe Joe can put a link to that. I'm not sure if it's allowed or not, but a link to that book in his description box. But it's very easy to get on Amazon. So we're in that, and we've had visitors from every continent except Antarctica. So with that, I'm going to wrap up my portion. I'll leave the rest up to Joe. But if there's any questions or comments, please feel free to ask him. I will be in connection. Once again, my channel is AdventureVin, and I've done videos on this topic on my own channel if you wanted to refer to that. Thank you for following along. Like, subscribe. Joe's a great guy. He's got some great content out there. We met through YouTube years ago, and this is our first time we got to spend together. Have a great day, YouTube. I appreciate you coming on our journey with us.
Now, this is not a historical building, but the people here built it so there would be a bathroom. You know, I'm not the only one of that age. This is one of the cleanest bathrooms I've ever seen. So if you're out here and you need to go to the bathroom, you know where to come. It smells nice. It's stocked. Everything's here. Absolutely 10/10 on the bathroom. You should be stopping here anyway. I'll link to Vin's vlog about when he gave a tour here. I think I mentioned this once or twice. So we're pretty much done here. It's not a great big space, and we'll move on to eat. I had to sit down because I'm old and I'm tired, but you know, it's good to see. Vin has a passion for Route 66 and the Mother Road, and it's good to see a guy being able to share his knowledge and passion with people interested. So God love you, Vin. You're just such a nice guy, awesome dude. And he's one of my Hanai, you know. We spoke in the car on the way over here, and boy, we've had a lot of similar experiences and a lot of similar attitudes, and he's just really a nice guy. This is really one of the pluses here. So I'm not going to fanboy too much, but anyway, we're going to eat at a historical place that I can't think of the name of, but we're going to go next. And then after that, we're going to probably call it a day because I'm already running out of steam. And he's incredibly respectful that, yeah, I'm sick and this is what you have to deal with in dealing with me. So we'll see what's next. Our next stop of the day is at the Milta Cafe, which is in San Bernardino County, California. This has been out here for over 60 years. Vin highly recommends it. I can't really get a good shot of the building yet, but I will. And of course, the bus, always when I film. So we're gonna walk inside now. I'm inside right here. Spanish rice, refried beans, a pretty good sized tamale, and a cheese enchilada. Still working on the iced tea. Vin, what did you, and I had a Pacifico. Vin, what did you order?
I went to my main go-tos. I love enchiladas, and it's hard to find good ones these days. So I got the enchilada plate. It comes with 2 enchiladas and a crispy taco, shredded beef enchilada, cheese enchilada, added onions, and then a ground beef hard shell taco.
And your beer of choice was?
I get the Bohemia.
There you go.
I tell you what, restaurants like this, good food is imperative, but it's the company that makes the moment.
There you go. Likewise, my brother. There you go.
Cheers to you. Cheers to you, YouTube.
So we're going to finish our lunch and have some fellowship, and we'll probably order flan because Vin says the flan here is absolutely spot on, and I love flan. And then he's going to take me back to Glen Helen. Excuse me. I'm going to put my head down, and we'll wrap up our day. Vin's grandmother is from Cuba, and she made flan that Vin says is the best he's ever had. But after his grandma passed, he said the flan here is the best he's ever had after grandma's. And I don't doubt for a sec that grandma's flan stomps everybody else's on God's green earth. But I'm having the flan now, and it's actually really good. I'm really happy with it. I'm kind of standing in the street right here. Here's the side of the Milta Cafe with the neon sign. It's at Mount Vernon and 6th Street in San Bernardino, California. This will be the end of the restaurant review. And as I get out of the street, as the traffic comes, to end the restaurant review, 10/10 on the food here. It was just scrumptious. It's some of the best Mexican food I have ever had in my life. It's run by the family. It's been run by the family for generations. They do a really good job. I love when they bring me a pitcher of iced tea because they know I'm going to drink it all, which I did. So as I float to the car, Vin's going to take me back to Glen Helen. I'm pretty much done for the day, but we'll have a wrap-up shot when we get there. So if you're watching the restaurant review, thank you for watching. Enjoy your day. Peace be with you. If you're watching me on my regular channel, you'll see the closing shot. Well, we're done for our day. Vin's going to run a little film for his YouTube, and we're gonna have a little chit chat. I'd like to thank Vin for being just such a great guy. You meet a guy and it's like you've known him your whole life. I feel that way with Vin. Anyway, my God, he fixed my stairs. I'm in debt forever. Anyway.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, I got to tell you, it's been a really wonderful day, but you hear the term fellowship a lot in different circles, but when Joe means it, when Joseph says it, he says it with sincerity, he says it with all intent and purposes, and if you ever think that you need to experience what fellowship's all about, mention it, ask him a question on his channel, and I'm going to tell you, we've had a wonderful day of fellowship. That's hard to explain. You got to experience it firsthand. So I thank Joe for giving me his time today. Thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you, my brother. So I'm going to close my end of it here. This is the close of Summer 24 Extravaganza number 4, along with a restaurant review of the Milta Cafe, which I'll put separate as well in my restaurant reviews. This is, as always, your host, Joe, Life with Joseph. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your support during this extraordinarily difficult time of life. We all suffer a grief and hard times. Hard times don't make us, they define us. And with that, thank you for watching. Enjoy your day. Peace be with you, and we'll see you for the next one.